Like to call the meeting to order. Begin by acknowledging with respect that we are in Robinson Huron Treaty Territory and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawating. Bawating is home to Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. I'll ask that the deputy clerk go through the approval of the agenda.
Yeah, so we have a motion by Councillors Hollingsworth and Gardy resolved that the agenda for the November 15th, 2023 special city council meeting as presented be approved.
All in favor? That carries.
And we are moving on to declaration of pecuniary interest. I don't have any noted, but
Anyone declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Mr. CIO, you've got a presentation to do.
I think we've got one more resolution then.
Are we moving?
You can do that.
Okay.
We're going to reorganize the agenda to move into committee of the whole first.
and I have a motion by Councillors Hollingsworth and Gardy resolved that City Council now proceed into committee of the whole to consider the following matter referred to it for consideration: strategic plan workshop.
All in favor? Okay, we are in committee of the whole, Mr. CIO. We'll hand the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and senior staff who are present tonight. As noted, this is a special meeting and it's a very informal meeting. It's a workshop style. I'm going to have a brief presentation for you, and then you're going to get into some group discussions. I don't anticipate us being longer than an hour, certainly an hour and a half tops. And go as quickly as you need it to. And I know everybody's busy these days. I'm going to move on to just sort out what our agenda. I'm going to be taking you through just a bit of an outline review of what our strategic plan is, what it tries to accomplish, and sort of just especially for new councillors who may not be as familiar with the plan and how it's structured. We're going to just very briefly talk about some of our community and corporate strengths and challenges that you identified in a pre-input phase, in which I've added a bit too. We're going to go then to through the workshop discussion format. It is going to move very quickly. We're not going to get hung up on the items. It's all meant to give us more material and more input to let staff put some bones on a draft plan that can be then brought back to you at a regular council meeting. You can have more discussion on it, and then we can put it out for further input, both from council and staff, but especially the community and associated community agencies that we deal closely with, so we can get as much refinement of the plan before we move to bringing back a final plan for you to approve. I will note that we are on YouTube. Obviously, a meeting like this is going to be not as easy or accessible as a regular meeting for the viewing public. However, to keep in line with accountability and transparency provisions in the Municipal Act, we need to do it. We do have a member of the media present as well, who is, you may see wandering around with that while you have your table discussions. We will then, once we close the discussion, we'll just spend a couple minutes on what the next steps are, so everybody's familiar with that. So back in a couple of councils ago, we did have a community plan that we developed called Future SSM. So Sault Ste. Marie as a community has done community planning at levels at times over the years. The future SSM processes are important because we're in a great period of uncertainty at the time with Oklahoma Steel. It was in creditor protection. We really weren't sure what the future of the community was and where we were going. So there's a real need to get the community engaged, especially the various agencies and organizations within the community and the leadership to sort out what we had. It was a very successful plan. We still use it to guide us today. At some point in the future, the community is likely going to want to go through another community planning process. But for right now, it serves as a very good guide document for us, especially for our own corporate plan. So as many of you know, it was divided into 4 pillars under the future SSM plan: economic growth and diversity, social equity, cultural vitality, and environmental sustainability. When we have community plans like this and we look to develop our own corporate strategic plan, we always must be aware that they need to align and be interlocked in the common areas that they have. They aren't going to be totally aligned with each other because, of course, our corporate mandate is much different than a community-wide mandate, but we need to ensure alignment where it fits. So the elements of our current corporate strategic plan, the time frame was from 2021 to 2024. Our plans, generally the term of the plans align with the same length of time as a council term, but they're not quite in alignment with when those terms are. And that allows a bit of carryover. A lot of the things that we do carry over through multiple years, so it does allow some continuity. It also allows a new council time to get some experience, get the ground running, get to hitting the ground running and get familiar with what the corporation does. It also has the benefit this time of aligning with a changeover in leadership, and that's as I head off into the sunset and a new CEO is appointed. They'll be have a nice fresh plan to start with that you've put together for them. The elements of the plan have a mission. The mission is basically the purpose for the corporation. And again, I have to emphasize this is a corporate strategic plan, which covers the elements of our organization that report to council through the CAO. It does not cover our other things like local levy boards, like services or other things. They often will have their own plans, and they are important that we are aligned, that we're not headed off in different directions, and we inform each other's plans. But it is for the purposes of the group that reports through the CAO to council. We have a vision. Visions is what we aspire to be by the end of the plan. So that's where we want to go as a corporation. It will outline key values. So obviously values are common to a lot of things. The purpose behind corporate values enshrined in a plan is which values we want to bring to the forefront to really outline to the community and to the organization what you see as the most important values. And then we have strategic focus areas, and these are the key areas where the resources and efforts will be focused. A strategic plan, of course, is a tool to focus our efforts. It's not meant to cover all the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. There are plenty of parts of our operations which are very important. They provide important services, infrastructure to the community. They don't always get listed specifically in a plan because maybe they're not an area that we need to focus on. So our existing mission is to promote, encourage, and lead economic and social growth within our community through the effective provision of municipal services and the development of community partnerships. So that's the current one we have. We will, of course, be developing a new one to fit this plan. The vision in the current plan to be the leading innovative, dynamic, and efficient municipal corporation in the province of Ontario. This will be a key one to change because it will represent this council's vision of where we're going in the next 40 years. So you will see this change quite a bit based on the input and discussions that you have. Corporate values, the previous plan had these values listed as the key ones that they wanted listed. There will likely be some carryover of things like this, but you may have, through your discussions, other values that you wish to bring to the forefront. And finally, our current strategic focus areas are infrastructure, service delivery, quality of life, and community development and partnerships. Certainly infrastructure and service delivery, you will find as focus areas in any municipal strategic plan, because that's what we do. We provide infrastructure and we provide services to our citizens. So those will always be key areas of focus, no matter whose plan it is or where it is for the municipal sphere. Quality of life and community development and partnerships were kind of the new areas in our last plan that we were providing more of a priority and focus on. So those will be areas that are probably a little more discussion on and potentially a little more refinement of looking at new directions where we go. Just 1 second. So prior to this meeting, we had sent out a link and a number of you provided input to some general questions to give us some sense of your thoughts and where we should be heading and what the issues were. We need more input, and that's part of our job tonight, is to get a bit more discussion going within your groups on what what we're going to look at. I'm going to run through 4 slides fairly quickly, just talking at a very high level, some community strengths and community challenges that were talked about in what you had, and also some corporate strengths and corporate challenges. These aren't meant to be an exhaustive list. It's meant just to keep your mind in that frame before we start our discussions. Generally, community strengths right now, we've got tremendous economic transformation and activity going on, almost unprecedented since I've been with the city. So we're really poised for a lot of good things happening. I mean, a small indicator like the amount of industrial land we have sold in the past year. We sat on it for a very, very long time. Obviously, we've got the big projects like Oklahoma Steel going on, transforming how they make steel and really setting themselves up for being here in a sustainable way for a lot longer than what we've seen traditionally in the bust cycles of the past. We're seeing strong immigration and migration into the community. That's something that's happened in waves over the many years of Sault Ste. Marie's history, and now we're headed into one of those waves again. So it's very exciting that time transforming the community. And we're seeing a really strong bounce back in pandemic affected sectors. There's still some challenges there, but certainly in areas like tourism, visitation in the service industry, where we saw a lot of effect during the pandemic, even things like transit ridership, and that we're bouncing right back up. There's still some challenges in there, which I'll touch on, but all in all, certainly from my vantage point, I'm really excited about our community, where we are right now and where we're headed. It's a lot of good things happening. Some community challenges, obviously the social issues have been talked about. The mental health and addictions, the homelessness issues, lack of primary health care. These are very strong issues that as a corporation, we have limited scope to address, but there are things that we can do. And part of this process will be interesting in our strategic plan, because there's a real need to start clarifying what we need to address and what we need to identify in our plan that will be in a supportive role to the main drivers of the organizations out in the community, but we still will be offering critical help in them. The other thing is we're still finding our way post-pandemic. There's a lot of issues still facing our development. So while we have good development going on, obviously things like workforce availability, availability of financial capital, the ability of people and organizations to work together and look ahead it's very difficult for them. And there's also a very unsettled feeling still in the community. So while we see better days ahead, we're not really sure what our new normal is. And certainly you can feel that in the community. One thing I will point out about these community challenges is obviously they aren't unique to Sault Ste. Marie. These are challenges that are really being seen nationwide in Canada, all of them. So we're not alone in facing them. We're certainly not alone in Northern Ontario in facing them. The mayor and I were at a normal meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we're all struggling with these, but we're all having good communication too about how to address them. Corporately, we've got some good strengths. We are holding our own for workforce recruitment in the professional and administrative side. And there's not a lot of municipalities that can say that right now. A lot of people are struggling in these areas. We are trending to a younger, more diverse workforce. And that's something that's been really exciting to see here. You know, a lot of changeover as the old fossils like myself start to move out. We're getting a younger, exciting workforce, and it's a workforce too that is very active in the building the young families stage. So that's really exciting for it. It's a real change. A lot of enthusiasm, a lot of ideas. And I'm personally very optimistic when I see our staff now, because I really see them as treating their occupations as a calling, not just a job. So really positive. So we're really well positioned to support the next phases of community growth. Some of our challenges, we have a lot of competing demands for local tax revenue. And you'll see that coming up on Monday as you start to see our preliminary budget. We're doing fairly well as a corporation, but there are a lot of other demands on the local revenue, and it's going to be a challenge to try and address what needs to be addressed there and still keep the balance right corporately. A lot of increased costs, obviously. Workforce availability, we do have a challenge, especially in the operator and trades department. So while we do professionally and do well professionally, administratively and professionally, we're not so fortunate on that side of it. We also have across the board, whether it's these areas or whether it's our professional and administrative workforce, a much greater emphasis required on training and development. That's one of the challenges you get with a younger workforce. They need to be trained and developed, and they are accelerating through the workforce a lot more quickly than we've seen before. And as I touched on this previously, identifying and clarifying our role in addressing community challenges that are beyond our mandate. That's a real critical one, and that's a real critical discussion that we'll have to have during the process of developing this plan. We don't have a lot of resources to go beyond our mandate, so it's critical that we utilize them in the best way possible, get the biggest impact that we can. And finally, there's the municipal reality. We do not have the ability to set our own agenda. And I'm preaching to a choir here, but you know that. Our agenda is driven in many ways by the provincial government. We are creatures of the province, and to a significant extent by the federal government. They are able to action a lot of their agendas through municipalities. So they do that obviously by offering up grant money or funding or different things that they want municipalities to do. Many times that does align with what we see as priorities, and that sometimes it doesn't, though, when we have to make our decisions whether we access funding or not. On the provincial side, there's also the added stick of the provincial government controls the legislation, which we operate under. And they can go an extra step that the federal government can, and that actually mandate us, change our legislation or mandate us to provide certain things or do provide certain services or do things in a certain way. And we have to adjust with that. And that doesn't always align with the direction we want to go or align with where we want to put resources. So we don't have the unfettered ability. That being said, it's a reality that we understand very well, and we will work on. So without further ado, we're going to get into some discussion. What we've done is we've set you up in small groups. Part of that is going to be evident later on why we've got you that way. We've also got senior management here. And what they are here for is to hear your discussions. That's probably one of the most important things, because it's an opportunity to hear you speak and hear you talk about issues in a much more informal way than we get at a council meeting. So they are here to listen to you, to be a resource for you too if you have certain questions. And then as we move into the last part of the workshop discussions, they're also here to answer a lot of questions, and I'll get to that part in a second. What we're going to start with, though, each table has some pages, so each table is going to have to find somebody to do some scribing for them. I would suggest that to the councillors and the mayor at the table that it's a great time to delegate something to staff. So take your yeah, we got lots of markers. So we've got 4 areas that I'd like you to have some discussion and put down your thoughts. It doesn't have to be neat and tidy. We're not going to go through a long process of having each table report back. We don't really need that. What we need is to get the information down, and then staff are going to take this information later on and assemble it into something that's a little more clarified and refined, so that you can then have more input and be ready to share it with what we're going to do is there's 4 questions, and I'm going to have you discuss as a group your thoughts on it. Get those down. I'm going to give you 5 minutes per question. I'll let you know when it's time to move on, and we're going to get through this in 20 minutes. Okay, the first one, so make sure you've got your scribe appointed and they've got the paper in front of them. Who's writing for this table? So I'll just emphasize again, for these 4 questions, it's really the councillors that are having the discussion amongst yourselves. Staff are observing. That's by all means, if you have a question, ask staff or ask myself, but that's the key. This is council's plan. So the first question we're going to deal with, in 5 years, we want Sault Ste. Marie to be. So the community of Sault Ste. Marie, what do you want to see it in 5 years? Where do you want it? So I'll let you get underway with that.
Yeah.
So young and vibrant.
More density. For their hubs. Innovation, technology. Yeah. Something else.
Yeah. Just because it's always actually captured out.
There you go.
You do it. Or you have to go.
Yeah.
Young and vibrant.
How about,
Yeah. So I mean, I want to say.
That's flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More industrial.
Oh, definitely. More industrial. Yeah, I think having a wider base, not just in terms of assessment value.
But even like stuff like the tour train the last 2 years.
a diversified.
Commercial industrial, like far off.
Yeah.
Because we really all have the same folks.
That's
what I have all the.
Clean industry.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Might be able to say.
Opportunities, families to receive the recreational security license.
I think we call it.
Diverse offering.
They're gonna want a new roof on the ground road. Yeah. Peter Lane's in the You got that.
I got that. Never how to see that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was in Toronto. They were playing cricket. A football field. That's what they were playing.
Maybe not.
And they were.
Stadium, yeah.
Not a.
Yeah.
Yeah, baseball.
Or residential towers
Yeah.
down.
I think it's all you.
It's annoying that actually makes it. It's supposed to be late.
Is that more residential towers?
Yeah.
Our residential.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yes. I know.
I think growing tax base. We don't see.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think one goes.
But there's right now. It's like safe, more developed density.
Especially downtown. Secondary. Secondary. Rachel, you should do this. Let's go with that.
She knows Malcolm, Virginia. Virginia.
You are. Great. Prosperous speed, but diversity. Is that.
You are G, O, N, I, N. O, N, I, N.
And I don't.
Secondary.
Like 5-star water. If it was, that would be.
I think you can do a lot of the outside.
I would say that's different.
Yes.
We also used to have a much more like vibrant.
Another minute and a half.
Like in the like college age, university, people go and they just don't have a lot of those places.
That's very very.
Like, I'm seeing that there's programs younger. As programs are 6 months out, there's another 6-month program that happens. They're all, nobody is. Okay, we're ready to move on. The next one. Five right on. So on the next one, you've already had a bit of discussion this way, because I can hear it going on. As you discussed this one, though, it's related to the first one, so if you have to go back and make notes on the first listing, that's quite all right. And that's, what do we need to address to realize our vision? What do we need to realize to address the vision? And the vision really is what we want to see Suzanne Marie in 5 years. What do we need to address that? And sky's the limit on what you're going to suggest. Whether it's, you know, I heard the first answer, money. Well, that's a finite resource that isn't always available. But you need to be thinking of us as a corporation. What do we need to get to ensure that we get to the place where we want to be in 5 years? Go ahead.
Yeah. Partnerships, for instance, they want to want to and so we take that out of the.
Oh, do you?
And see if they want to be. And the other piece that I feel strongly is that
making
they may
markets
not
program should be
I don't think we've
critical
done-
for us.
we've done-
Again,
I
to
think
address.
we do a lot more.
That comes
More, people can donate. We just, we started doing a great job. People do.
They're big, yeah.
What I want to say, like, the integration of skilled. Especially Canada, you have done one in a while, we should.
And where does that stand now?
It's still there, but it's like outside of the community.
We did talk to years ago to how.
Our workforce development, yeah. That's a good way of looking at this, right? Yes. Expansion of partnerships.
But just to address, to realize our vision. So I thought this is our vision.
Yes, especially with things.
So, and
To
to
be what can dialogue our.
things we discuss.
What's the future since the
Availability.
Healthcare services.
Unsafe, the plaza opening right at
Yeah.
Santa Claus parade, you know, like, but it's outside of those kind of events.
See vibrant streets.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's attracted to industry specifically. I think from a tourism standpoint.
We need to address. Yeah, what areas can we address?
Oh, okay.
They're really fighting on to that as part of their product development, like
This is just for. It's built on the internet.
drive tourism as an economic driver.
Well, you're right, sure that. Everyone has to release it with you. Targeting all your sub trail.
Yeah.
I would, I think there's,
Oh, that's.
That's
If it's college, yeah.
basically a 25-year plan. And how even though they've had their big pieces and
But it's not.
every year they do.
Like it's even just.
I think that is kind of
It's
key,
like it's
like
it's pretty.
something because I think
Particularly around the
presentation would be like cool plaza bows on top,
very diverse.
you know, and
Like,
it's kind of, to me, that's like almost like the King Street, kind of where we lost our way with trying to redevelop an area. We gotta keep doing something every year.
Maybe it could be like that. Boswell, you know, how the trail and everything. And if I may say, when we have a new council, it's great, but then you go off track. Right, so it's part of that.
Yeah, you want. Yeah. Holding like.
Life experience. Yes.
Well, I don't know that they knew at the beginning either. Say like this, water budget, like 5,000 land, right?
Yeah.
And so we're gonna do something to.
I know we've got it here.
When we started, we started to have like water. But like, you look out here, like, hey, I see a lot of room for more things than the Spring Street plan and downtown Beachline, Travis.
Okay.
Already there now. Came into contact.
Depends how many bullet points we need.
Yeah, it is a challenge. Yeah.
So there's some. So I mean, it's. Evidence-based decisions. Oh, I know, because I'm getting complaints. I don't know.
Okay, we are going to move on. One thing I will tell you that I should have emphasized more at the beginning, we're gathering some information tonight. Some collected focused information to build a draft plan. You're gonna have plenty of other opportunities to provide input to help clarify and refine the plan. So we are interested in just getting that initial blast of material tonight. And we will have other opportunities to really refine the plan. The third question.
Isolation.
And you've been dealing with some of this, but so that's what's the corporation's role in achieving the vision? What I want you to really focus on in answering this question is what's the corporation's role in addressing the out of usual scope and mandate things? I'd really like to get some thought on that.
What the corporation can do to address those that are beyond their.
So I think you've touched on a lot of the things that we can do in the discussion you just had. I could hear that going on. I'm more interested in you having a discussion now on how do we, as a corporation, deal with assisting the rest of the community in facing the big challenges that we have, especially on the social side.
If we. You know, previously.
There seems to be.
We don't care as much about.
Yeah, like just,
You know, social.
kind of like, so, what's the decisions role? The services, the specialist.
We spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
We've been for a conduit for.
Trying.
Oh, you know, yeah. Oh, you're seeing. I'm saying. That's kind of a big place. Obviously, because.
Yeah.
Yes. Next year, you go back.
Plan is.
Absolutely.
This is, I still think it's for first time, it should be, I will be talking for thousand, say, one discussions, it is something there's discussion.
I think like I will appreciate two parties together, one of them they should be moved toward the
Horizontal partnership. Yeah, obviously. Partnerships. Partnerships. That will matter. We're doing a fantastic job. Yeah. What is the meeting setting? Even things like this, you just want to be invited. Yeah.
Regards to families that may have. Students' flexibility with regards to. You know, even like housing has to have some performance to ensure that it's. Being more accessible. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge.
Accountability.
I mean, we have nice to have a vision.
We're kind of like be green, we go more accessible.
big, yeah.
Those are almost.
On here.
Question.
Yeah.
I think the.
Yeah.
My service.
The.
No return on.
Kind of have our ears to the ground, just drop it, so be able to. Kind of right lower again, whatever is being presented. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we are presented to.
Which what they would say be that all the time.
Yes.
Because.
Yeah, because as much as we.
This.
Certain things.
Person is good. Right. So there's thought about how to do that. We did.
It's interesting, these figures for these other those have municipal staff, like manager, operations. Quite a few of the big ones. We have that, like,
Yeah.
we have our own full-time person that did it in the they direct hire. We don't have a staff member that's necessarily dedicated to that, and how do we build that capacity towards that? We own. You know, like I've talked to, I'm really lucky about talking to some show that members for like the city of London, for instance, stuff like that. And so they've maintained like a pretty healthy network of provincial contacts, like on the bureaucratic side.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really valuable.
So like. Like an energy staff dedicated.
One result.
Yeah, but how to dedicate Or, yeah, I just,
Steve's there, and they don't have.
it's not grant writing, it's like knowing what conversation, like knowing which side makes the other side, right? That's the part that's valuable, because
The example, I don't. He has such a good network.
So.
Together, I have learned so much.
Now that you're saying.
Right.
Yes.
It's never been so pity around.
We, as things, we can hire.
As these trustees, various other members.
With this, I think.
Maybe that's an issue.
It's to
Actually, our provincial guys come back to school, you know, having.
getting us to
Represent.
delegations, so like conferences, I think we need to be more.
That's good. Championing. Challenges.
Okay, one more minute on this one.
Between council or council and collaborative. We can do it. Still.
Yeah, and it's a political answer, it's not necessarily just through elected representation.
Right.
And I still think partnerships around those. Committees, like, they do the same thing.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the final.
People pretty much technology.
The final question of this part of the discussion is, what should our key corporate values be? The corporation. Well, again, we're not trying to list out an exhaustive list of values. We're wanting to identify what you see as the key ones. That should be listed in the plan.
What should our key service, services. It's going responsibility, that's for sure. Yeah.
Anyone can tell you why you can't do it. Like that, it's the easiest job out there. I already know why there's. Tell me the reason how I.
What is it? Inclusiveness and diversity.
And I always want that might be listening to it. Communities really use every opportunity to find.
That's a writer's like professionals, of course, discussion.
Communications. We for everybody and services like what's next. Proactive is what I would say. It's like most of our communications come out and it's like. This is.
There's just, have this opportunity. Education is
positivity.
And I think right
Yeah.
now, there's this opportunity to like harness your
innovation.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell your story.
You know, ways matters.
Perception and changed it.
Like, we want to always have like,
So communication.
So maybe action items, would you put them on? What did it?
That don't understand. Okay, I mean, you have to.
Positive.
reading stuff.
We mentioned it. We did, it was mentioned, but now we're into the values that are gonna be listed in this.
Just make sure this doesn't. What it.
Adding to value. Essentially one of these. Now we have safety departments.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we're in a state where century needs to think of itself
Yeah, this is more being like respectful.
as in an investment.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about
Like, we value.
and like, we did a great job being.
Well, suppose.
A lot of things. But like these things need to ebb and flow.
I
and
do.
We're not sure the biggest bulk of the outcome we can publish. In a sustainable way, we kind of
Yeah, it's not like.
more entrepreneurial investment phase, like one more investing in the business, we can grow the dividends from.
Yeah, the warrant. I think that's kind of what you're saying.
You're not gonna be able to look at some of these things, that's why I tried to kind of multi-year economic development plan, multi-year communications plan. You're not gonna see the results tomorrow, that's prior. That's okay, right? Especially as we're doing with all of the housing. Because they're all gonna go in.
Transition to a.
It is.
That's great. So that's gonna be something important for the change. But you can't do like the wood. Yeah, that's, you know, in terms of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I hear more about the 4-year.
Yeah.
I just don't think it says enough to what to do.
That's given the right narrative, the right business case, and all of these things, and that's how we have to do.
All we can do without using some basic one. Application. Some of them change for that. You want to value it.
Well, the neat part about going back to future state. Thrown off here, separate things that are different.
And you want to like a dynamic.
Okay. Thanks very much for that part of the discussion. We're gonna move into the second phase. Whoever has been scribing, if you can collect up the pages that have been filled out so far, so that, and Madison will collect them, just to make sure they don't get lost.
Sorry, put a chair, put a show on them, or it doesn't matter.
No, because I kept track who's been writing and we can't identify something. More tears over counselors already. Staff. Okay, the final part of our discussion, we're going to talk about our strategic focus areas. But one of the things I want to convey to everyone is we've got a lot of activity going on in our areas already. And you may not always be aware of that as a member of council. So what you've got is you've got a rolled up sheet of paper on each table. You're going to have to clear the waterway a bit so you can unroll it. And what we've already put on, and we're just really looking at the time frame of the next couple of years, what's already kind of in the offer to occur over the next 2 years. Over at this table is infrastructure. This table is service delivery, and this table is will actually have two. Community development and quality of life, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is an area that we probably see morphing of something new. So we put them together. The staff you have at your tables generally are the staff who have items in this. I want you to spend a bit of time at first looking through the items, and especially if there are items that you're not familiar with or you're not aware of, ask the staff at the table to give you synopsis of them. You're going to spend 10 minutes doing that, but you're also going to use this opportunity if there are initiatives or ideas that you have, things we could be doing. This is the time to put it in. It doesn't need to be fancy. I just want you to note it. You each have your own pile of Post-it notes, and you can note that. The only thing that I would ask of council, if you just put your initials on your Post-it note, because if there needs to be some clarification or follow-up questions on it, I want to be able to talk to the person who wrote it. We're going to spend 10 minutes per table, and then the counselors are going to rotate through the tables. So you'll spend 10 minutes at each table, council, and then you'll rotate. Staff will of course stay at the tables. Go ahead.
So this, I think, is scrapped.
Oh, right.
So I'm against.
Yeah.
Peter, you and yes.
Yeah, so you know what, we should.
Can we put that on there?
Implementation.
Like them with,
Maybe that's the other. Spend money, we're not waiting. Okay. And it's given there, when it was cut out, it's gonna be done, what order I want to.
Add on to that. I know we don't need to see our board anymore. However, I still think we have to have a rule.
That's great. We just dropped the.
And then we will have the discussions on what's feasible.
Yeah. We're just giving you ideas. Our idea, every contract, just so we're clear, everything that's on here is in the works. So, and it's already been put to a plan. It's been brought. It's just like, sorry, what things you think should That's fair.
Depending on what side is. That side is.
one more.
Ready.
Don't turn. You can somebody less. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some places have done. 312.
Yeah.
Well, that's. So that.
That was my first. That's important. That I wanted 20 years ago when it just started, right? So now it's still that's so real.
Notice much of the challenge as
Yeah.
Capture even more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just worried about.
Honestly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This one is, I think, I don't know. This year might not have budget.
Yeah. I think it's expected as they're probably funded.
Okay. Living center. There's some picture of a plaque that's taken at night. That's really good. And then the other page. Okay. I know. So, right now. That's just lighting. I just. The amount of those we have is something that should be our interest, solar energy research. Even every school bus stop, if they could. Every single bus stop is sheltered. That's the stuff in competition. And it's the whole 50,000. One of them already has.
Okay, we're gonna move on to next, this table, if you can move to the center, move over to this table, and this table move over down here.
Well, see you guys later.
We're looking at like.
I think it's my computer, still have that many crops.
We didn't need you to leave. It was a company.
I still got it. I think that's not necessarily. Because you're writing it down. Everything.
I would change.
But there's also. And if you go around. I had to get same thing. We would have bought 100. This is not actually not actually it's worth, you know, also. Yeah, we're not taking on this. Renovate that or whatever. There's a bit of a change. I see the same thing. That's all. This is still right there. Management.
Yeah.
So when the meeting for Sackville comes back to. In that.
No, that EA.
So I know what they're gonna.
Legal. Or something else. They've already had just. We're gonna present on Monday.
Totally. Count.
That will be discussion.
Brought forward, you know, that why it's something more about priorities.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I see that.
Yeah, I think. So that wouldn't that be the first part? That's what I'm asking. That would be. Right? Rather than taking it off the shelf, you know, why we should be looking.
But you have to not.
Yeah.
Study done.
No, I know all that.
She was saying her teammate there complained that.
We were just.
Totally.
Shut down. Right now. That's the time.
We need to change any ages.
Okay.
Like,
Prioritize.
sorry,
So,
so we did.
that's what I'm trying to ask. If there could be like.
Yeah.
That's where I would just.
Just for business.
Yeah.
I was actually like, we give them.
I'm scared. Is there a way you can just to get?
Yeah, we could try that.
That's a good thing. Is there any that we can follow up?
Yeah.
So that the files folds properly?
Yeah, that's priority.
Yes.
I also.
Yeah.
Hub trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
No one can ever ask you this. Yeah. So the company. And stuff.
And I thought like skills.
And are we pushing for that? Are we encouraging people?
2 more minutes at this one.
Where's your work?
Yeah. When not, so, you know, captured on it. Positive information. I mean, it's a.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe they're just delivering.
Maybe here. But there's nothing wrong with putting it on everyone.
Sure. Yeah. Like, you know, like fire safety, like, don't forget, change your, you know. Our mandate, and it got done by Trump, please.
Yeah.
Planning. Have opportunity to communicate with everyone, so, talent, but training, you could break them up, you know,
Master plans, it's just used for patients. So it's like live.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when you do the website, why don't you have a link in the electronic tax bill, and it's time for it to go right to the website, hey, I'm seeing your website right here.
Yeah, there's way down the other. That way there's like Mars Road, everything around there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like. The sanitary.
Okay, I'm at such and such a party.
Okay, when you're ready, you can move on to the next table, this is the last round of the discussion.
Why not?
No, the person that I just told you.
I'll try it out. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Ange. Moving on to bigger things. The way this is.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Anyway, I just was.
Oh, this is case. Sorry. I'm naturally.
Yeah, so this person is asking a business case for a real estate sign.
Sure. So it's R3 officially coming and you're changing our. Or we've. It's okay.
Oh, I'm just right.
I think you're.
I thought you meant no. I talked about that.
Can I second that?
Yeah, I should have on
Is that our choice or it's like, it's actually downloading?
I heard this thing, like,
Oh, I know. Like how they're actually doing it?
Yeah, we actually. I understand what happened. Yeah, they said. Already done it.
Yeah. They wanted us to do it.
There should be. I guess. So do we download?
We are up. It's my dog.
I know, we're up.
That's fine.
I think the compressed works good.
He's very, he's like so excited. She's like,
Yeah. Totally, yeah. It's just neat that we're trying it out, looking for the results. It'll work very differently.
You guys.
It's got very big now.
Some of them are difficult. Easy to pass.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
This
great.
Everybody's happy about that. Yeah, all the way up to there's a lot of work that's gonna be done. Once this is.
I don't think there's much else we can do.
Large area, you start doing a lot of developments, it's like over the years. Like a funny story.
Guys, it's what
But also get and now
we took our soul pilot program, like pre-wedding and whatnot, so it's
it's gonna be fair to.
a little late now. Our consultants. What's a human resource motivation?
So it's.
Couple more minutes and then line things up.
Yeah, this is where we're hoping that we're gonna, we did apply for funding. Hoping.
That was the actual title of it.
So for existing employees, yeah.
I'm more of it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a bunch of identified.
I mean, like, where is that information then?
There's big. These are, you don't. Buildings. Kind of have different forms.
Would that make, what difference would that kind of split make in the city's, you have some ability to make a return? Okay.
I mean.
Yeah.
It's temperature is called the.
And not just based on people.
Yeah.
One more minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never had.
I don't know why don't I just put them.
Yeah.
You know, but it's always.
Yeah.
And people never get along.
I should remember. Prior.
Like
People like that. Actually, at the time, haven't seen them. But I was just wondering, it seems to be an issue or? Yeah.
It's nice that like you know.
Yeah.
than having
Like,
to
you and her, you can take one, so
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
She's never seen it before. That's still. It's not funny related.
One slate.
Not ideal, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you.
The rating goes down.
September 2013. September 30th, 2000. The big thing. Yeah. So water was pouring in my house. I was leaving my house. Sorry, here, I gotta go to work. Because we had flooding.
Oh, that was.
Port Creek was everywhere. But what are you gonna do?
Okay, if I can ask you to resume your seats. As I mentioned, we'll just wind things up and move on to the next.
We obviously nailed it.
Yeah. I did.
Okay, thank you, everyone, for participating in that. This will have given us a chance to collect a lot of more focused input.
Yep.
To start preparing a draft plan. What we do is to get really good guided input from the community, from agencies, from the rest of our staff, and council again, is to prepare a draft plan that helps guide people's thoughts and thinking. When they see a draft plan and everything that's involved with it, they have a much better sense of what a corporate strategic plan is and are able to give more refined input to us to work through the process and come up with a final plan that I would see being before council early in the new year. And being able to be adopted into the Guide Corporation till 2027. So thank you once again. Madison is going to with the mayor just to do the last bit of formalities to finish off the meeting. Several resolutions and we'll be on our way.
Thanks, everybody. We're going to rise from committee of the whole.
Yes. I guess.
We're just shouting.
We're gonna. Here.
We got five.
I have a motion, resolve that committee of the whole. Council now rise but reporting on the matter referred to it by city council strategic plan, and I have a mover as Councillor Dufour, and I just need, that's a Councillor Caputo.
All in favor? All right,
And adjournment. So I have a motion by Councillors Dufour and Caputo, resolved that this council shall now adjourn.
all in favor. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ready for round two.